Hello everyone. Today I'm going to make a video that could become a rant, of course, about bad training partners. They could stem usually from white belt to black belt, but mostly it's in the white to blue belt category because people are new and over time you learn. So this is all about bad training partners. And what is that? If you have a bad training partner in jiu-jitsu or any other martial art, but mostly jiu-jitsu for sure, you're not going to learn correctly in class, especially the move that you're supposed to be learning at that moment in time from the teacher that's teaching you the move, and another reason why you're there paying money to learn, right? So when you have a bad training partner, one thing that starts off things right away is if your partner didn't pay attention to the move you just learned. So now they don't know what's going on, and then also they're a bad partner. And what makes somebody a bad partner doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It's just sometimes people could be selfish or just not in the moment learning at that time and have other things going on. So what makes somebody a bad partner is somebody that's not feeding you the move correctly. So for instance, say the person's mounted on you, you're doing the elbow escape, but the person's mounted on your chest, right? If you don't know how to adjust it, because you're a beginner, you can't do the upa and you can't reverse it because they're not sitting on your hips, right? So the person right away is positioning themselves in a way that's not correct to learn that move. Because jiu-jitsu, anything could change the move. If somebody grabs you like this compared to like this, it's a completely different escape. So, the person's not either positioning themselves correctly because they didn't pay attention, or they're giving you the wrong energy. You can't be like a limp noodle. Everything with jiu-jitsu has to do with positioning and energy. So if the person's not giving you the right energy to do that move, it's not going to work, and it's going to become very frustrating. And this is also going to take away time from you learning to move correctly in class, where you're not able to perform it later on or use it as one of your new techniques for your jiu-jitsu. So that's very important. Also, if you have somebody who is, talking too much, it's like if that person's a beginner or the same belt level as you and you just learned the move from your teacher, the teacher just did all the talking because they explained the move. If you're doing it wrong and that person's trying to help you out, that's a different story. But some people think they know it all because they watch a lot of YouTube, and they're correcting you and trying to fix you and telling you how it should be done. Meanwhile, when it's their turn to do the move, they're not doing it correctly. So both students lose out from learning from the teacher that you're paying to learn from. And this is super common when it comes to beginners, right? Somebody thinks they know everything because they have a black belt in karate or judo or something else, when jiu-jitsu is just very different. Also, a balance has to be there for every move. If the person's like a wet noodle, a lot of moves aren't going to work. If they're too rigid and resisting, the move might not be able to work because there has to be a certain type of energy. Remember, jiu-jitsu is not about forcing moves. It's about taking advantage of the person's openings, off-balancing, timing, and mistakes. So when you're practicing a move, it's really important for the person to feed the move correctly, because once if the person's giving too much resistance, maybe that move might not be good for that, where there's a different move. And the beautiful thing with jiu-jitsu, there is a different move for everything. So if the person has their hand in the wrong position, they're like, oh, see, the move doesn't work. Well, now the move doesn't work because of what you're doing, but there's another move to counter that. So when you have somebody that's being really resistant to you when you're trying to practice, because that's what it is. When you're learning to move, you're trying to get it into your memory, your motor skills. There's 3 stages of learning with any type of motor learning, especially. You have the cognitive stage where you're thinking about, okay, they grabbed here, the person moved here, this is what I did. And then when you're practicing the move for a while, it becomes more of an associative stage, where now you're not thinking about it as much because you kind of got the idea. And then there's the autonomic stage, where it becomes an automatic movement where you don't have to think and you're proficient and have mastered that move. So if the person's not feeding the move correctly to you, and they're disrupting your learning process, the move's not going to work when you start to have resistance and when you train for real. So right away, everything has gone wrong. So picking your partner is a very important thing. Sometimes you have no choice, but then also you have a voice. You could tell the person, listen, you're not giving me enough resistance, you're giving me too much resistance. These are all things that need to be communicated to have a good working foundation with whoever you're training with at that time, and within the class. You also have some people who either two extremes. They're too rigid and they're resisting everything that you're doing because they know the move, because you all just learned it together, and they're like, well, I'm just keeping it real, I'm keeping it real. That's just the biggest fallacy when it comes to training. And some beginners are like, well, jiu-jitsu is supposed to work against anybody. Yeah, but you have to have a certain level and move up on difficulty with resistance and everything else. And also, when you're learning the move, say it's a double leg takedown. Okay, so what are the counters? You could stuff the head, you could sprawl, you could peel the arm, simple stuff, right? So if the teacher is teaching a double leg takedown, you stand in the position where the person could do a double leg takedown. You don't go, oh, we're doing a double leg takedown, I'm going to keep it real. Once you start to go for the double leg with the penetration step, I'm going to sprawl, or I'm going to pivot around to show you, ha ha ha, I know how to counter the move, or I'm just being totally oblivious to what we're doing in class. Stand there, give the person, be that be that training partner, or be that dummy for the person, because you want that person to be like that for you. Don't go, oh, the person's going for a double leg, let me do all the counters I know. Now that person's not learning the move correctly because you're being an asshole. Not talking to you specifically, but to your partner. These are all important things to start to look at. If you want to have good jiu-jitsu, you have to have good training partners. It's that simple. And then the other end is you have the wet noodle, where the person, you're going for the move and they fall over. And it's like, oh, I did the sweep? I guess so. It's like, no, you didn't do the sweep. The person gave it to you, they fell over. So now when you try to do the sweep for real with a person who is resisting, or in real-time training, and it doesn't work, it's because that person gave you false confidence, because they just let you get the move without you actually doing the move. This is just as bad. And then also you have the person that counters everything that you're doing because they know what you're going to do because you just learned the move in class. Well, like, oh, the person's going to counter. It's like, it doesn't matter if they're going to counter. You're just practicing. You're learning a move. You're not learning a million things. You're not learning variations. You're learning a move. And that's another thing, too, let's come to, where you have the partner who knows everything. We're like, oh, yeah, they're not even doing the move taught in class. They're doing every variation they saw on Instagram, on YouTube. And they're not even doing it right because they don't even understand the basics of the move fundamentally, which is super important. So they make everything super difficult because it's like they know everything. And it's like, and next thing you know, every move, every variation they know is done incorrectly and ineffective. And then again, you're stealing time from your partner. And at the same time, that person that knows everything isn't learning jiu-jitsu to get good. Because obviously, if you're going to an academy, you're paying a fee. And that fee is not just for mat time, it's for instruction from your teacher. That's usually a black belt this day and age. So those things are very, very important. What else did I put? Yeah, if your partner just talks too much, it's like, this is the time for training. And then also when you're learning a move, it has different levels, right? The person's giving you the right energy and putting themselves in the right position so you can practice that specific move. And then from there, once you get the move, then you start to drill it, but you're drilling it correctly, right? And it's still the same energy to help you get the move down. Then the next level, the teacher usually says, okay, let's start in this position. You could say to mount again. And now the person on top, you resist the person on top, on the bottom, try to get out. So now you're having the person where they don't have to cooperate. And that's okay because you had enough time to practice the move, where if that person's in that exact position, you should be able to accomplish that. And that comes also with time, timing, feeling, energy. All those things are important, but the thing that I see a lot with beginners is that they're trying to keep it real, or they're not paying attention, or they're talking too much, or they're just feeding you the wrong position for the move that you're trying to learn. All these things will detract from somebody learning and growing more quickly and having a great understanding. You know, when with Henzo, we didn't have YouTube back then, but we went there to learn from whatever he said, and we just tried to copy the master. It was that simple. We tried to copy him. It's like, oh, he grabbed here, or did he grab like this? Did he grab up here? You know, did he grab up here? It's like we would look at all those things and try to copy him, and then as we did the move, we're like, okay, this works really well, but why does it work? And then we would analyze it ourselves and try to figure out, okay, why is this so good? And if I grab somewhere else, why does it make it not work as well? And this is how you start to grow with your understanding of the jiu-jitsu techniques. So I don't want to make this a long video, but if you know you're that type of person that's either talking too much, not paying attention, making it too difficult for your partner, or just, you know, not caring, this is detrimental to that person's learning. So, you know, any school is a team. Your partner's part of the team, you're part of the team. So you want to make it a team effort to make everybody better. So be a good partner. Pay attention to what the teacher is teaching. Copy what the teacher is teaching. Do what the teacher is teaching. And if you don't understand, you raise your hand and you go, excuse me, professor, you know, or sensei, I'm having a really difficult time with this move that you taught us. The worst thing is when somebody goes, because I've had it happen, oh, Keith, how do you do this? It's like, that's not the move we're doing today. I'm not going to help you with that move because that's not what we're doing. Focus on the move that we're doing and you'll get better. And this type of mindset will help you, help your partner, and help everybody grow. So enjoy jiu-jitsu and be a good partner.